welcome to this Sunday special live Kingdom Lum Small Town Underground. Hope everybody out there is doing well tonight. This is a special report that we're going to be doing all about Effingham County, Rincon, Georgia. Now, before I get started, I'm going to have a special guest, Nikki Lee. She'll be on here with us in a few moments. And we're going to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. Sometimes we think we have it bad. Well, let's visit with our brothers and sisters down in South Georgia. So if you don't know where Rincon, Georgia is, it's in Effingham County outside of Savannah. So we've been talking about doing this for a while, and I've met some people, not in person, but we've been talking a lot. And it's very fascinating, very, very fascinating, some of the things that are going down there at the coastal areas, which we're up here in the North Georgia mountains, and it's always good to get a little bit of a different take. So no politics tonight, no doom and gloom. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff. The world's still turning, and we are still breathing. So I want to send a special shout out real quick. I have a Rhino. I am officially a Rhino Wrangler, so check that out, coltonmoore.com. Had a great day yesterday at the machine gun shootout. My brother Ray Blankenship and Gerald Wright were with me. We went down there and just wanted to kind of talk to people for a sec about it. Met up with Bill Brown, met up with Alex Dorr from Georgia Gun Owners. Was very cool. Matt Gertler was there. Of course, Colton was there. There was some great patriots out there. Had an amazing time out there. Got to shoot a fully automatic weapon. We got to blow up some tannerite from some old cars, from like an old mobile home, and then took a helicopter ride. And I was like, how can you do all this in one day, like a half a day? You know, it was pretty amazing. We had a great time. On my page, I got a video of the helicopter ride. I can't pass up a helicopter ride, man. That was really, really cool. But we thank our state senator Colton Moore for everything he's doing. I put his sign up behind me tonight, just in solidarity with him and everything that he's doing, standing up, putting his neck out there for we the people. He's listening to his constituents, and he's really going to bat for us. So I fully support him, and I support more people that will run and stand up like Colton's standing up. So anyway, it was a great time with great people. Had a really good time. And if anybody's out there, just let me know that you can hear me. Everything's going through on my end, but I always get a little nervous because I had to reset up the shop here because our band had a gig this weekend, so we use this as a practice space as well. So, but if you can hear me, Ray, thank you. Good evening. It's good to see you. So tonight it's going to be, like I said, we're gonna talk about some different stuff, just some local stuff together. And Nikki's going to be on here momentarily. I'm gonna call her. We're gonna do a phone interview tonight, and I've got some stuff that we'll pull up. And just making sure everything's set up right. I don't want any hiccups tonight, but let's see. Feel free to share it to any of the other groups. That's the way we get it out. That's the way we get more viewers. A lot of people are reaching out to me and telling me, hey, I really like what you're doing. So, you know, if you've got things going on in your area, keep in mind Wednesday night we're doing a local in-house live stream with Elliot Pierce. He's going to be here, and we're going to listen to him and things as he's moving along. Some things going on here. We're gonna sit down and talk with him. Let him tell his side of the story, what he's doing. So I'm really, like I said, the more people we get, we're gonna set up a multi-stream with Tyler Martin. And by the way, if you're not subscribed to XXL Dude on YouTube, guess what? He just had a video that dropped 10 minutes ago at 8 p.m. So if you're not subscribed to that channel, go subscribe. It's XXL Dude on YouTube. And of course, we have Small Town Underground on YouTube. We are trying to grow the channel. We're trying to get the word out. People are responding. It was amazing yesterday that the people I spoke to that was like, hey, I've watched your live stream. So it just proves to me that we're making a difference. It proves to me that people are liking it, and that's what it's all about. So I can't thank you enough for the support. So check out XXL Dude on YouTube. He's got some great content. And then, of course, Small Town Underground. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get Nikki on the phone. And then, Ray, if you'll hang with me and make sure that everything goes through. Let's see, it should be ringing now. So,
Hello.
well, hello, Nikki. How are you?
Great. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good, feeling pretty good this evening. So, it's great to
Good.
have you with us on the show. I just got done kind of giving a little bit of an update. Ray, if you just make sure, let me know that she is coming through crystal clear. So I have shared our live stream tonight with some of the groups. And so I guess how we should start off is just kind of just tell our audience who you are and where you're at, and then we'll kind of get a recap of where we left off and then move into the new information. So go ahead.
Okay. I live in Rincon, Georgia, and really, just to sum up my past year, I became involved in local government after there was a development that was supposed to go up next to my neighborhood. Actually, within my subdivision, the developer was trying to build a 240 unit storage facility
Right.
that would be open 24 hours a day. And that did not happen. We fought them and we won.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, for now. But
For
in
now.
the end, what happened is, and I was suspicious of this all along, I said, this is not 24-hour storage. This looks like two warehouses to me. And the reason I had said that is because in looking at the plans, and then it just didn't make sense to me, all of the things they were saying. And when you look at the driveway access points that they were trying to put around it, that also means that they kept having to widen it and move it further and further down into our subdivision until it was nearly right on top of where we have all these children getting on the school bus.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept saying, well, why can't you enter at your point if this is merely for storage? And in the end, an engineer for the city had exposed them and said, none of this will be it will be inaccessible for you because neither of these roads are DOT certified for 18-wheelers.
Okay.
And to me, that screams warehouses if you're trying to get 18-wheelers in.
Right.
So that is done for now, but I'm sure there will be probably around 3 coming up soon.
Okay. Yeah. What she's talking about, because we live up here in North Georgia, we're in the mountains area, we're nowhere near the coastal side of things. So basically, when we think about storage facilities, we kind of think about these small little garage door storage areas. But what you have to understand, where they're from, Effingham County, is basically a huge coastal port out of Savannah. And what has kind of happened is that these smaller communities all around Effingham County that's going further inland have been inundated with these huge warehouses where they're building these things like in residential areas right up along subdivisions, all over the place, and they're just throwing them up, and it's causing traffic issues, it's causing pollution issues, it's causing all of these issues where this land is just being developed of these huge warehouses and these tiny communities. It's disturbing the communities. So we don't really have that kind of intrusion in this area. So I found it
Right.
not only intriguing, but the movement that you have going on it reminds me a lot of what we did several years ago with the Second Amendment movement. So you guys have really been busy organizing and creating groups and grassroots, getting out signs to try to fight against this takeover of your areas and your land, and you're obviously making an impact, right?
And that's exactly what it is. It is a warehouse takeover.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make something very clear.
Okay.
I am not against warehouses when they are put in proper places.
Sure.
There's responsible development, and then there's what I have termed reckless development.
Right.
And this sort of thing, when you're putting a warehouse on top of an existing neighborhood, that's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people having to deal with listening to the beeping of 18-wheelers at all hours, and dealing with traffic, with sharing the roads with them.
Right.
And I mean, it's just there are so many things that come into play. Pollution. I have no problem with them being put in designated areas that are away from where people live.
Right. Right. Now,
Or schools. I don't like them around schools. And that is the situation we have, where we have, these nice East Blast funded schools. And there is one school in particular called Blandford, and it is now surrounded by warehouses.
right. Wow.
I get that we're a port city, and that we're near the ports, and Governor Kemp has this dream to develop and get all the ports flowing better and everything like that. But I don't think that we should be putting them where we're living. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go outside in your backyard
Sure.
and you see giant warehouses. To
Absolutely.
me, that doesn't make sense.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's precisely what this whole thing is about. It's kind of like the corporate takeover of the land, and we all know that Georgia is. I mean, say what you will. I'm not going to try to get in political here, but the Georgia is kind of got a lot of money flowing in. We got a lot of Hollywood money flowing in. Obviously, we got a lot of Chinese money flowing in with all the new Chinese industry that's taken over. So it's a situation where the state is growing by leaps and bounds. We have the automotive industry that's coming up from the north, from all the unions, and coming down south, and now all of a sudden we have all these jobs and this growth, but at the same time we're changing our landscape forever. And I don't know
Correct.
how much of that is like, how much of it is legit, how much of this is just landowners selling their family's land versus are they bending the rules to be able to go out in these more rural communities and just throw these things up. And I do remember last time you telling me about a particular warehouse that was put up next to some regular land water, and that they were trying to force the landowner to use that as like runoff for these warehouses, right?
Oh, that was my house.
There
Yes,
you go.
that
Explain,
was
yeah.
their master plan. We are going to drain this into your pond.
Mm.
And I thought, are you kidding me? I don't know what will be in 240 storage units.
Sure.
Or if someone decides to, just spill something. And then what? It goes straight into my pond?
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
Sure. You've got young children, you've got animals,
Right.
All kinds of things living there. And then what are they putting in these warehouses? And then it's going to run off into your water? That's insane.
Right. And that's where, we eventually got to the point where you had met, or we had Miss Charlene, who was
Mm-hmm.
also on here.
Yes.
And we all ended up hiring attorneys.
Okay.
And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to come up with another solution. And if it takes sending them daily emails of ways we will sue you,
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes that's what's necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what kind of responses are you getting from your local government on all of this?
Well, they did end up supporting us.
Okay.
It didn't pass, and it did come to light that this is what was trying to happen. But I mean, it took half the year for
Right.
it to finally be solved.
Right.
And I just think that's too long, because there was an actual ordinance, and we have a city attorney, and for whatever reason, he was ignoring the actual ordinance.
Hmm.
And the very first clause in the ordinance was, this cannot present a danger to the neighborhood.
Wow.
And I would think that bringing 18-wheelers in on a road that's not DOT certified for that, well, there you go. So why do we proceed, and why did he drag that out for 6 months? Why did he allow that?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the irony of it. We have a city attorney. We're paying for that service, and he did not represent the citizens of Rincon.
Sure.
And he wasted valuable time for council. He's getting paid, to drag these meetings out. And should I be angry with him? I mean, the irony is I had to go hire 2 attorneys to spoon feed him his own ordinance.
Yes. So in other words, if you hadn't gotten involved, if you guys hadn't have gotten together and organized and come up with these Facebook pages and going to these meetings, do you think that they would have had your best interest in their
Well, that's what it has done. What it has done is it has spurred community involvement, and it has spurred people in my neighborhood especially saying to everyone around, you have to get involved in what's going on here. You have to go to city council meetings and witness for yourself what is happening. And just bringing neighbors with us,
right?
And having Facebook pages, and just speaking out and getting informed about how these things work.
You're absolutely correct. There's a similar story here that I know from a long friend of mine that lives in the country, where a recent city, or not city, but it was the county commissioners meeting, where there was a pretty wealthy landowner who was wanting to kind of go against the grain of an ordinance of you have to have 5 acres plus, to build a house. And this man had a lot of land trying to build these subdivisions out in the middle of nowhere. And just because he has the money and the resources, and it basically took the entire community of people coming together like you're talking about, going to these council meetings and saying, no, we're not going to allow this. And if there's not that kind of involvement, guess what? They would go ahead and they would let the man do what he wants to do, and they would bend and break these ordinances and laws because nobody's paying attention. So,
right. And I also want to mention that this piece of land, there's my home, and then there is another piece of land in between us, and then there's the piece of land that he wanted to develop. So what I wanted to mention was, it used to be a pond roughly the size of my pond. There used to be a horse farm where my house is.
Okay.
And the 2-acre pond in the 1990s, it was filled with the contents of demolished homes.
Okay.
Like someone just trucked in demolished homes, put them in there, and you can go, when the state came to do the inspection, they let me accompany them because I had turned it in to the EPD. And well, more than just me, but people, in the neighborhood wanted it turned in. And so it's classified now as an inert landfill. And, that's another situation. Here, they were served by 3 members of the Environmental Protection Division at our city. They were told that it was an inert landfill, and it's still just sitting there. I mean, but they allow this man to come to council twice now to try to develop it over the course of a year. Yet we tell them, look, it's a type of landfill. How about you tell him before you want to do anything, even cut a tree, because cutting a tree could disturb that. You need to get it cleared as being something that can be developed.
Right. Wow.
Because it needs to be cleaned up first. Not, let's talk about all the possibilities of things we can build on it. Let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
And get the contents of what's there in the land, because there's all sorts of things over there. There's a playground, and there could be asbestos in there.
Sure.
And I mean, hey, great. If they don't find anything, go for it.
Mhm.
But you can't come in there and clear cut it, because what if a tree gets rooted out, or you come in there with construction equipment and you disturb that
Mhm.
and spew that into the environment?
Sure. Sure. It sounds like that they're just
Or
kind of
heat,
overlooking
I
that kind
should
of
say.
stuff. Big
Right.
time.
And that they have a public nuisance clause.
Mhm.
Why haven't, again, this goes back to the city attorney. He's been fully aware of this for a year now. Why didn't he do any? Why aren't they acting?
Right.
He knows that clause is there.
Mhm.
Why hasn't it been pointed out?
Yeah.
Why aren't they? I mean, if I, okay, so let's think about this. If I put like a refrigerator out in the front yard, right?
Okay. Okay.
Or dumped a bunch of garbage out there, it's the same thing. Wouldn't someone get ticketed or told to clean it up? Or would
Absolutely.
they just leave it there for a year?
Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends on how they're enforcing it, right?
Well, I also think it depends on who you know.
Absolutely. That's
Do
unspoken
these people
everywhere.
know someone? Do they know someone who's allowing it to be overlooked?
Sure. Sure.
Because what I've heard said, and what we heard said, was, I'm not going to clean it up unless I can develop it.
Ah, I see. Ah,
Yeah,
quid pro quo is what it sounds like.
sure. And the city is letting this person call the shots.
Uh-huh.
Like, why are we allowing that? And to make it even more ironic, it's right by city council or
Ah,
city hall. It's
right.
right there.
And
It's like, within, you can look out their window, or at the
mhm,
city hall. You can look out the window of city hall and see that it's a wooded lot. So
mhm.
you can't see what's there, but we know it's there, and knowing is enough for me.
Sure, understood. And Rincon, let's see, I think I just
And
double
it's a small
checked.
town.
It's about 10,000 people, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a small town.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they have tons of landfills that they're walking around worried about to
Sure,
clean up.
sure.
It's So to me, it's inexcusable. I mean, why would you leave that there? Why would you not clean it up just for
Ah,
for your city and just for safety hazard? What if someone wanders in there and gets
right,
injured?
right. Sure,
But,
but they don't want to touch it unless it's going to be developed. That's
well, that's what he said. And the city's like, oh, okay, then, they're all worried about his rights. But, what about our rights? And it's not like he just bought it. He's owned it for a while. So
mhm.
therefore, it's his responsibility.
Sure, sure. Okay. One thing that you sent me, I'll go in any direction you want to go in this evening.
Sure.
So, the
We have
first,
so many topics. What would you like to pick out of the topics?
well, the first
What are
thing,
you,
the most interesting to me at the moment is this story that you sent me going back from April 19th. This is from the GPB, and I'm pulling it up here so our viewers can actually see it. Let me cover myself. So this says, records show Pinova stumbles in complying with regulations. So I'm going to give a little bit of context. It says a
sure.
fire at the Pinova facility in Brunswick on Saturday sent a cloud of black smoke into the sky and forced the evacuation of nearby residents. While the smoke was an obvious offense to air quality in the area, an examination of regulatory records reveals it was not the facility's only one. Let's see. It says the Brunswick Finova facility is regulated as a major sources air polluter defined by the U.S. EPA, and as a stationary source that can emit 10 tons per year or more of a hazardous air pollutant, or 25 tons per year of a combination of hazardous air pollutants. So let's see. Apparently, in 2000 since 2018, they have had violations and fines of $229,000. The largest was 185. So these people have been getting fined for releasing toxins in the air. So, what can you tell
Right.
us about this Panova incident?
Okay. So DRT owned, or still owns, Panova.
Okay.
That is in Brunswick, Georgia. And their sister company is DRT in Rincon.
Okay.
And basically, it has just been flying under the radar for quite a while.
Okay.
I believe since 2018. And what they do is they take pine stumps and they process them somehow. They must burn them or heat them
Okay.
to get
Yes.
alpha
Processes
pinene
pine
out of them.
tree stumps into a variety
Yes.
of products, including resins, rosins, waxes, and gums that are used in the manufacture of many household products, including adhesives, chewing gum, paper, cosmetics, and foods. Wow. And it is owned by the French company DRT.
Okay, so here's my first thought.
Okay.
Another foreign-owned company. Put that in your own country.
Right.
Oh, they probably don't want them there anymore, so they have to come here.
I see. Kind of like our food industry, right?
Start right there.
Okay.
Why are they here? I mean, I guess it's lucrative. That facility alone, let's talk about how lucrative it is. It made $350 million a year. So finding them
Really?
$200,000 really is nothing.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. You
It's
said
nothing.
that their profit's 350 million a year
Yeah. It
because
was
this
300. I think if you look at the bottom of that article, if I'm quoting it
right.
correctly, it was 350 million.
Okay, I'm reading here this article, and I will post it for everybody. It says about 7,000 people live within 1 mile of the Panova facility, according to the analysis. 70% of them are black, and nearly half have a household income of less than $25,000 a year. Yet they make a $350 million profit. Wow.
Well, so in Rincon, this is, this is right in pretty much in the center area of town. It's right by 2 elementary schools.
Okay. So
We're
you're saying that they're
talking
getting
2,000 children.
they're getting
2,000
fined
children
every
live in the
year,
street.
and they're right next to 2 elementary schools.
The one in Rincon.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
It's a totally different situation here. There are some really beautiful subdivisions that back right up to it.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful homes. And it's like I said, it's just been flying under the radar here.
It also, this says, I just want for a little more context, that they started the Pine Products Factory in 1911. He sold the company in 1920 over. Hercules began in producing other products from pine stumps, including toxaphene, a cancer-causing pesticide that the company ceased producing in 1980, which was banned globally in 2001. So, okay.
Okay, yeah. So that is something that they made, and I believe toxaphene is a pesticide.
Yes, that's what it says.
So there you go. There are toxic things that can be made from this. Someone said, oh, well, alpha pinene, it's a natural product. Okay, but we're talking mass quantities of it.
Right. I'm showing the picture now. I'm blowing it up of the picture of the smoke cloud. And this happened back in April, I believe. Okay.
Now, what we had, the last major explosion was last time right around Christmas.
Okay.
There was an explosion. And then I know the Rincon Fire Department had been over that way. Records were pulled about 6 times.
Okay.
So they're having a lot of explosions. And coincidentally, that was what happened in Brunswick. They went down that same path. And that's where I'm saying, if you look at the comparisons, we have the same thing happening here. The Brunswick factory closed because they finally just had a huge explosion.
So that facility is no longer operating.
Correct.
Okay.
No longer operating. And it really is just because it eventually imploded.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and burned, and bad situation over there. So now they're here, and what has been happening is And how I became involved in this cause is over the past month, my daughter, who is 12, and she's usually very healthy. She doesn't really get sick much or anything. Um, she started having these really strange symptoms. And with children, she's very quiet. She's an A student.
Okay.
She's just very, very quiet. And she had said to me one day, she said, she mentioned some sort of a thing going on where it kind of smells just go, but you just, when you're living through this, you never, I mean, she just casually mentioned it.
Right.
And, and then she one day said like, oh, wow, my eyes really burned when I was at school and things like that. Well, she gets this flu where it's not really like a flu though. She has a headache and then she vomits. So then, you just think, oh, wow, woo, it's over with. She's better.
Okay.
Well, a week goes by, same thing happens. She recovers, she's fine at home, goes back to school, over a weekend or whatever, goes back to school, goes for a few days, gets sick again.
Okay.
Same scenario. This time she's adamant about it being at the school. The school caused this. And that's when I really started asking around. And lo and behold, lots of other people started saying, I think it's that smell.
Wow.
So, of course, I thought, okay, well, the next time she's sick, I mean, like, you want to think like, oh, well, it's just some smell. What are they talking about? Because still then I didn't really understand.
Okay.
Well, I took her, and guess what happened to me?
Huh.
I got sick.
Got sick. Wow.
I was in a meeting. I had to cut the meeting short.
Okay.
Because I had the same, my eyes were burning, and it to me, it smelled like ammonia or really strong cat urine. Okay. Like that kind of smell.
Okay.
Other people describe it as like garbage and cat urine, or like a horrible garbage can that you open.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's just a perception thing, but to me, it's more like an ammonia smell.
Okay.
A very strong urine smell, but like picture it like 25 times worse than anything you would ever smell anywhere.
Okay.
It circles around you, like in your car. See, my exposure was in my car. So I went through the burning eyes, the headache, and then horrible stomach pain where you just want to, like, you feel like you're getting sick, you need to come home, that sort of thing. And
how long did it take?
It was within 4 hours.
Okay.
And that was the first time I ever smelled it. And I have to wonder if maybe the people who live there, because they're exposed to it all the time, or now that they're getting exposed to it all the time, are your symptoms not as strong? Like your body maybe adjusts and
maybe
gets
they got
used to it. But still, that's unacceptable.
Right. Sure. Absolutely.
Or how some people, they live near like a paper factory or something, and after a while they say, oh, I don't really notice the smell.
Absolutely.
Because again, it all goes back to science and conditioning. So, but when it's really bad, they do say like, this is terrible. I mean, we've had people say they have to leave, their homeowners, they have to leave the house. It's been so bad. And this is like lately, it's more than the usual. It has gotten out of control. So around September 26th, if we backtrack into when my daughter started feeling ill, there was a complaint filed. For this.
Okay.
And the EPD did come. They took an air quality sample, and I think that was it. The case was closed. And that was all.
So they
just the one sample. Yeah.
okay,
And then,
so people, let me recap here. So people are getting sick. The school children are getting sick in this area
correct.
where this
Correct.
facility is located. An ammonia kind of cat urine type smell. All of a sudden,
Hmm.
they're getting sick. Nobody really knows why, and you're experiencing other people. And so a complaint gets filed, and they come to do a quality test, and then that's it.
Well, yeah, that was it. That was
Wow.
it.
Okay.
And, if you look, you have like a ton of people just complaining and things like that. And what I also want to add is lots and lots of like sudden, like a flurry of complaints
Mm-hmm.
to local leaders
Okay.
and politicians. And nothing happens. They're not getting answered. They're not getting answered. They're not getting answered. And so then I just started probing, asking questions. And so I have a background in medical research. Most of my jobs have been in the medical field, in radiology utilization, organ transplant, and then research for Novartis.
Okay.
So I started looking at things and I thought, oh my gosh, here I got sick. My poor daughter, you just think at first, because who thinks that their child is getting exposed to toxins from a place right down the street?
Right.
I think it's like 2 miles away while
Okay.
they're at school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to really track things and look at things on the calendar and really realize, like, wow, she gets, and she too was like, no, it is that smell. It is that smell, because she started to get assertive. It is that smell.
Okay.
And that's when we decided, okay, well, no one is listening. And I said, I'm just going to call the national response team. I'm going
Okay.
to see what happens. I'm going to call DC. Let's give a call over there and
All
see
right.
what happens. And right away, they came in. I mean, it was an immediate response. And now we're getting the air quality tests. And now we have the attention of local politicians. And we have local politicians who suddenly appear on the news and say, well, I live right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, state representatives who live right there. And suddenly everyone is on the news and talking about it.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So the national response team sent in the EPA.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so suddenly the EPA is here and we're getting all sorts of air quality tests now. So what we're waiting for, and it's been 30 days since the first air quality draw.
Okay.
And they said that the alpha pinene, I don't know how you say that correctly. But those tests were not at the DEFCON level, elevated level.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay. So then that brings me in with my science questions.
Okay.
Is it better to, and you tell me, like, would you rather? Let's play would you rather.
Okay.
Would you rather be exposed one day at the above average DEFCON level to this substance, or would you rather be exposed above average for 30 to 45 days?
I think
What one would you pick?
I think one day as opposed to 30, 45 days.
Okay. So it's only concern if it reaches DEFCON levels, is what it sounds like to me. And that is the question I have asked some, I mean, this is common sense stuff. What would you rather, and children, they have robust immune systems. And maybe it's the fact that their bodies are identifying this. And, everyone is just thinking, oh, we just happen to have this horrible flu virus in the Ebenezer schools. Do we have a horrible flu virus? Or is it their bodies trying to get this out of their system?
Right. The toxins.
Is my question. Right. Trying to get the toxins out. So that's a concern. And Should we talk about the fire?
Yes, but I just wanted to add to it. I'm just going back over this
Okay.
interview. I know this is Brunswick, but it says in its reporting and its enforcement and compliance history, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency lists the facility's compliance status as high priority violation and notes Pinova in Brunswick has been out of compliance in 11 of the last 12 quarters. So I know we're talking about the Rincon plant, but obviously whatever they're making here is some pretty volatile stuff. So yes, all right. Now go ahead and tell us about the fire.
Well, I pulled up the laundry list of what they have a permit to make, and
Okay.
we can share that later.
Okay.
There's quite a lot of substances on there that are just things that raise a red flag to me. But are they going to self-report that they spilled that
Of course,
or
right.
what they're brewing?
Mm,
Of course they're not.
mm,
No. Um, so they did self-report that they had this leak, but the suspicion of everyone who lives around there is that the leak may have started around Labor Day or right when school began here,
mm. Okay.
because everyone is saying, no, no, we were smelling this right along. We were smelling it.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
so that's where we are with that. And
So they,
right now we're just waiting to find out. It's been 30 days, but I think what happened was when the EPA came in, the EPD is still, because it's regional, it's still their
mm-hmm.
investigation, I guess.
Okay.
But now it has a national ID number. What I did was I said, I'm going to get a national ID number on this. So everybody up the chain has to answer
Mm.
now. And they are on the national response team's radar.
Okay.
Because I mean, when you look and you see how many complaints people have filed with the EPD, I mean, something is going on
It
for
sounds like
this.
it. And
You know,
you
and the number of fires, it's just too much.
right.
It's too many times for
So
my comfort.
so just to clarify, they did have a fire at the turpentine plant in Rincon, right?
Oh, they've had like 5 or 6.
5 or 6 fires. Okay. And
Yeah,
you're
and
getting no feedback from your
and
local
explosions.
representatives.
They really haven't been involved. It's never come up like, wow, we need to do something about this place. No,
Mm.
no. And when I called, I was the first to report this to the national response team.
Hmm. Okay.
And I mean, I just, to me, that was the right thing to do. I mean, why, if all of these individuals live in this area and are breathing the air, none of them at any point in time thought maybe we should report this to someone other than, the local EPD.
Right.
Like maybe we should take it to a higher level
Mm-hmm.
and report it to the EPA, because we're not getting what we need as a response. Maybe we should go up the chain. But
Right.
no,
Hmm.
no, um, there was no record of it. And when I spoke to the EPA investigator and said, "Look, we've had explosions and fires," he said, "Well, no one has told me about it. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Why is this the first time we're hearing about this?"
Sure. Ah.
So it's a concern.
So
It's
I'm
definitely a concern.
I'm pulling up some of the as we're talking, and I'm pulling up for some of our viewers. Let's see here. This on this I believe it's the Stop the Toxins page. Looks like from 1 day ago, Georgia Coastal Health District. The Coastal Health District is conducting surveillance to include monitoring for increases in reported illnesses that could be related to the DRT chemical spill in Rincon. So now a day ago, they're actually looking into this. So they're claiming a chemical spill in the Ebenezer
Correct.
area. Okay.
So what turning this in at the national response level and at the EPA level did that didn't happen with the EPD is it spurs them to create an epidemiology study
Okay.
where they ask the people to who or ask the residents who are having symptoms that they think are from this. And then they're taking their health survey, and I believe they're going to start plotting it on maps
Okay.
and
Oh,
for an
like
epidemiology study.
I see. So they're going to plot like I guess the way where the illnesses are and try to pinpoint how it's moving.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So that is very important to get everyone who can to fill out the survey. And that brings me to my next question.
Okay.
So we have this epidemiology study that is now out. And this comes from the state of Georgia.
All right.
Okay. And I'm going to call someone out here.
Okay.
Dr. Ford, the superintendent of these two schools, said he's going to conduct his own investigation and wants to know if there are any children who want to come forward to talk to him about their illness symptoms.
Okay.
And says no one turned it into the nurse. Well, I mean, come on, these are children, they're little kids.
Right.
How would they deduct that it must be the toxin or the smell? I mean,
right.
They're children.
So they're
you
not
need
getting in
to
touch
tell
with
their parents
right.
about it.
Right.
First.
The parents are not being involved with this.
Right.
This is insane.
Well, they just finally, now this is after we've been complaining for a while.
Okay.
He just finally sort of did the right thing.
All right.
And let them know that it's under investigation, but still is refusing to share with the parents that there is a form that they need to complete, because he shouldn't be conducting any investigation. That's getting into HIPAA territory.
Okay.
When you're asking someone about their medical symptoms.
Right.
That's not his job. We have the state conducting a survey, and as a superintendent, he needs to do the right thing and give this link to the parents.
Right.
Send it to them in an email and then step aside.
Right.
Is all I'm going to say.
Sure. That makes sense. I'm
Right?
also pulling up some of your PDFs. Now, this Georgia Department of Natural Resources, this was submitted. This plant's only been there since, 2016? Is that correct?
I want to say 2018, but it could be 2016.
Okay, well, it looked like they filed for application in 2015, and let's see. I'm trying to think, because obviously, like everything that you're telling me, this is not like an established facility. This is something that's only been there for a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden you're having leaks and fires, and you're having illnesses and all sorts of things going on in the air. I mean, this makes perfect sense. I mean, this is not somewhere that's just been grounded for decades, you know.
The children being sick at school, that... So my son was there the year before, and he didn't really have any issues like this.
Okay.
This is...
seems whatever to me.
This, I question, and this is just the way my mind works. Okay, so logistically speaking, the company closed in Brunswick.
Right.
Hasn't been reopened. What are they trying to do? Double time at this facility?
Right, like so the facility they had it under containment. Everything was good. It sounds like then maybe a pipe bust, something happens, it starts leaking, and all of a sudden they don't have it contained, and then that is the toxins is being released. You know.
Right.
But
have they added to their duties since the other place is closed?
Yeah. Or they manufacturing different things now since Brunswick's closed.
Has something changed? Because all of a sudden now it's really bad. And I mean, while it was bad before, now it's causing, people to have to leave their homes. Residents are having to leave their homes. I mean, I don't know. I can't say I'm not an investigator of those things, but I do have a lot of questions.
Undoubtedly. So this is pretty wild. I mean, that's a bunch of stuff that you're getting into here.
CTO fractionation. I think that's what they do there.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I was pulling up some of these PDFs and looking. I mean, it kind of makes perfect
yeah.
sense, how all this is playing out. So, any comments from the company itself? Have they released a statement, or are they actively involved in any of this? I mean,
Um, not not really anything where, they're just said it was a leak and it's fixed and they're closed down as of now, just shut down making repairs. But
the
then
the
everyone
Rincon.
says, but why at night does it start back up again?
So they're telling you that the plant so okay, let me make sure I'm following. So it's serious enough that the plant itself is having to shut down to fix this leak, right? So they're obviously
Yes.
admitting that there's been a leak, and this leak is probably tied to these illnesses. So they're shutting the plant down, but they're saying it's coming back on at night, like they're running the plant at night when nobody's up. Is that correct?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, and some children are having nosebleeds as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I have heard that come up quite a few times. And then I'm not sure if I sent you the comment where one parent or grandparent said her child was sick at Ebenezer,
Uh-huh.
and then she said it's interesting because there were, here we have the superintendent saying, no, no, no one is sick over here. And she said, yeah, but there were 12 kids out of a child's class alone.
Wow.
And
So it's just this is
so that's a
wild.
lot of kids. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, Ray, my buddy Ray says sounds like some Aaron Brockovich stuff going on down there. It really does. I mean,
Can
um,
we get her down here?
that's the truth. I'm trying to pull up. Let's see. I'm
Does
going to go
anyone
back.
know? I know. It's
I'm.
something.
Let's see. There's a video posted. Let's see if I can make it work right on here where people can see it. There we go. That's
The one
the
with the
I'm
black
showing the
smoke?
video of the actual smoke from the December 17th, 2022, in Ebenezer, the chemical plant that was on fire. So we've been keeping up with quite a bit of this over this year. There's been a lot of explosions, a lot of fires, a lot of facilities, a lot of food processing plants, you name it, that's been just going up at
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
And
wild.
and I've also heard um different comments from different individuals where, and they are supporting the residents of Ebenezer
Hmm.
and the students. But then sometimes you hear, oh, well, I don't smell it where my house is. I'm not smelling anything. I must be okay.
Uh,
And one thing that I've mentioned is, but when they have these explosions with this black smoke,
hmm.
and I mean, it has to go somewhere. It disperses to you eventually. The whole
Sure.
county is experiencing this. And while that smell of whatever the mystery toxin is, while it's the strongest at Ebenezer, it will spread throughout the area.
Mm,
And, everyone, now we know the dangers of secondhand smoke. I
sure.
mean, it's that to describe it, it's the same thing. Just because you're not living right on top of it doesn't mean you're not breathing that in.
Oh yeah, I mean, think about cancer clusters, you name it,
Yeah.
and just any kind of, not even acute symptoms, but I mean anything I mean, we've got these things all over, these forever chemicals that are all over the place. We've got plastics that we're taking in daily in our body. I mean, it seems like we're just being poisoned all over the place. And then when you get a situation like this where hindsight is a 2020, and all of a sudden it takes people getting involved saying, hey, everybody's sick here, there's something going on, there's a correlation. It's
Oh,
pretty wild.
absolutely.
Pretty wild.
Absolutely. And remember, we were talking about health a while back,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling you about, oh, well, what am I reading right now? Books I'm reading. And one of the books that I recommend that everyone read is the book called Iodine and Why You Need It by Dr. Brownstein,
Mm,
Dr. David Brownstein,
gotcha.
because
You write that down.
that book talks about how, here we are, we're being told that iodized salt, oh, that has what you need for your iodine requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe it did 50 years ago, But think of the toxins that we're being exposed to now.
Right.
We're not meeting our daily requirements. There's no way. And he has a study with 7,000 patients and running, and he can prove it. And you really, that would be a book that I would read.
Okay.
And that I recommend to
Sure.
everyone.
I can't even find my pen. I might have dropped it, but definitely send me that link. I will post that link up into the comments after the live stream, because I take an iodine supplement myself. I use the X2 Nascent and X3. Not every day, but I take it pretty regularly, and I can tell you I'm a firm believer in iodine. So.
Right. And
Absolutely.
iodine, everyone has this misconception that it's a medication. And what he says as a researcher is no, it's a food.
Mm-hmm.
It's a food. And you need to think of it in that way instead.
Yeah.
So
I
but
agree.
yes,
I mean, you
will
have to
send
have
you
it to
that.
live, correct? I mean, it's an
Mhm.
essential part of life. So.
Right. Right. And we definitely, I agree with him. We need
Mhm.
more because of what we're being exposed to in our environment.
Right.
And not
Oh,
just
yeah.
the people here, but everyone everywhere. We're being exposed to all sorts of toxins.
Oh, Lord.
And
And
no,
food. Oh.
I'm not going around saying get an electric car or anything like that.
No. The first thing when you start to realize everything around you, we have to realize that, that everything we put in we are what we eat. Everything we put in our body, of course, especially this fast food life that we live. You know, we've got to learn to get back to healthier eating, supplements, things that will, cleansers of our body. I mean, we're poisoned all over the place. So.
Well, our body is a sponge,
Yes.
and you absorb things even through your skin. We should all be really careful with the chemicals that we use,
Mhm.
even in like body soaps and things like that.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, I'm looking
so,
through. By the way, I will post the links to this. What I'm going through now is the group. It's a public group called Stop the Toxins in Ebenezer. They've got a huge movement going on Facebook right now. I mean, they're fighting multiple fronts down there with all of this new innovation, this new, construction, all of they've got a lot of stuff going on. So it's be really interesting to check it out, and maybe you can make some friends, and we can coordinate with each other down there, because there's some really interesting information coming out here. So I'm glad to be a part of it. But
yeah, and I mean this is what happens when you have schools and you put them near something like this.
mhm.
I believe I want to say the DRT factory was there just quickly before the school, but then some people say no, the school came after, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, which one came first? They're roughly around the same time.
Mhm.
So that even to me makes it more unacceptable, because we should have had the foresight to think about this
Right.
stuff.
Well, I
And
don't think they
again,
included just a normal person. This is all kind of what kind of money can we make is what it sounds like to me.
right. Well, and the other concern is this is near our water supply.
Mm-hmm.
This is near Ebenezer Creek as well. This is a very historic area. This is where Sherman marched through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a very historic area. And, we have things like this going on here.
Sure.
Ebenezer it's a beautiful area.
See, I've got another
Really
report
is.
pulled up here. This was published November the 3rd, actually. Officials track reported illnesses after spill at plant off Ebenezer Road. So now it's finally making some traction here. It's kind of like they were dragging their feet, and maybe you were the catalyst getting DC involved. Now they have to talk about this. I mean, it's starting to be all over. So
yeah, you can't.
Great.
Well, it was hush hush is what it was.
It says,
and you can't avoid something like that when you have, you're calling in the national sources here. So
well, check
or
this.
resources.
According to this, let's see. This is from WTOG. It says, and this was published on the 3rd. According to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, on the Sunday, September 24th, there was a spill of about 500 gallons of pre-treated sulfate turpentine at the DRT America facility located off Ebenezer Road. They say it caused a strong smell that forced neighbors to contact the EPD. So yeah, and so now it's November. This happened in September, and
Yes. Yeah.
it took a movement to get these people to not only admit this, but now start looking into it.
Right.
That's pretty
Right.
wild, man. It sounds a lot like the Ohio spill. You know what we witnessed earlier this year. How they're just dragging their feet. They don't want to admit any of this wrongdoing. The company doesn't want to talk about it, and then it takes children getting sick and these smells to come out everywhere. And then somebody has to literally contact somebody in D.C. to get the ball rolling. This is kind of where
Yeah.
we're at in this country. It's pretty
And
wild.
the way I look at it is we have these politicians and they want the authority,
Hmm.
they want the titles, but they're not willing to take responsibility.
Sure. They don't care about the common person.
Well, why couldn't they make this phone call? I mean, if I am looking at my computer screen and I have 100 emails or whatever, because you know the women who live in Ebenezer, it's been mostly women. No, I shouldn't say that, because there have been men who
Hmm.
have come forward, and they have been keeping excellent records of every single politician and person in authority that they send emails to. They have the paper trails of
Yeah.
all of these individuals that they've been emailing, and they weren't getting a response.
Wow.
They weren't getting a response.
Yep.
So,
And we had a
you know,
comment, what goes up must come down. It's probably in the water source. I mean, obviously, this is going to touch every aspect of one's life here, you know? It's
I hope
wild.
not. I hope it's not. Whatever this mystery thing is, I hope it's not in the water. I mean, but it could be.
Sure. Sure. And obviously, that's one thing that needs to be tested for sure. For sure. So,
Yeah. And it is very water, soil. I mean, everything everywhere now.
wow. Well,
So hopefully they are still conducting their investigation, and I hope it will be very thorough.
I do too. I hope that the viewers can join some of these groups, your brothers and sisters down in South Georgia, so we can keep an eye on this and provide some support to the citizens down there, because there's I sometimes we get in our own little bubble where we think everything that's going on in our area is just the worst thing ever, and then you talk to somebody in East Georgia, South Georgia, and they're kind of like, hold my beer, hey, you have no idea what we have going on down here. And it kind of gives you this perspective, not only that, well, things aren't so bad, but it's like, it's something that's happening everywhere. And
Yes.
we're not dealing with anything remotely this kind of big up here, thank the Lord. But we our thoughts and prayers are with y'all as you're going through this. And it just sounds to me like your representation is not, they're really dropping the ball for the people. That's what it sounds like to me. So
Mm-hmm. It's something is falling short for sure.
sounds like we need to get you guys some new representation down there for the people, not for the corporatocracy. So
Right, right. And like I said, it's a matter of just having a moral compass that's
hmm
pointed in the right direction.
hmm
Um, when you see something, wrong, don't just say something, do something.
sure, sure.
What it looks to me is there was a lot of talking amongst themselves
hmm
about it, but no one took the step. I mean, we're talking, we had state representatives were aware of this, commissioners were aware of this. These individuals in Ebenezer, they followed the chain of command,
hmm
and they started out with their local leaders, and then they've just been moving up, and like I said, no one was helping them.
Wow, it's pretty wild.
So
I mean,
mhm.
Georgia, the Gold Dome, man. That you need to take some pointers here. The people are mad and upset. I'm telling you, if they keep dropping the ball like this, and they are dropping the ball everywhere, I mean, they're going to pay heavily come election time. I mean, this should
So
not stand. So
and then there was a home that exploded in
Oh,
Ebenezer, the explosion. Should we talk about that?
absolutely.
Okay.
See if I can find it.
So there was, and this is right where the fumes are the worst. Like when you drive into that area,
Okay.
there was a home explosion.
Hmm.
And the family, and this family, this is not for selfish reasons. They came forward because, in their time of grief, they wanted other residents to know that this is a safety hazard,
Mm-hmm.
because that smell, when it is strong and if it's in your area and drifts to where you are, your senses want to shut off. It's just so overpowering. You can't smell any other thing around you.
Mm.
And they feel that because of that, their parents had this propane explosion,
Okay.
and it caused the death of their father.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
a very,
Oh.
very sad situation. It wasn't addressed in a timely fashion. And then this family lost a loved one because
Mm.
they could not differentiate between the propane smell and this other smell.
No kidding. Wow.
And you think about it, yeah, propane has that
Uh-huh.
sulfury
It's got the
smell,
sulfur smell.
right?
Yes.
And so does this. And they
Wow.
just pretty much assumed that, I mean, because why would you, like, who would think, like, oh, wow, I've got a propane leak, when they're dealing with this other overpowering smell?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
So
wild.
they
And
had
I'm
a
telling you,
home explosion.
I'm just going through comments here. There's comments from people that have just moved in the area. There's comments from people that have been here in this whole entire area, and they're all talking about this smell. So obviously, this is a huge, huge issue going on down here that's
Yeah.
just kind of being ignored. That's
Well,
pretty wild.
hopefully alerting the authorities at a higher level
Mm-hmm.
is going to stop this. But I would rather it had been a success story and our local leaders had
Sure.
been the one who alerted the proper authorities.
That's wild. Well,
Yeah.
I'm thankful. We are all thankful for people like you that are being the watchdogs. I mean, that are getting involved. I tell this to so many people. They think I'm crazy, especially where we live in our little conservative fantasy land. Oh, everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, no, it is not. You can sit there and watch the football games. You can sit there and go to the bars and have a good time. But if you're not paying attention to things around you, I'm telling you, when nobody's looking, they're going to slide these things right in. They're going to ignore the things that should be brought to public light. They're not going to do anything unless they have a resistance, towards
Right.
them. I mean, it's just,
Right.
it's the way it is. I firmly believe that if we had not stepped in just constitutionally for the Second Amendment in this state the way we had a few years ago, and now we're active in this this whole fight, that we might very well have gotten some very draconian laws that would have been passed in this state, and they wouldn't have batted an eye. So we have to maintain this front line at all times. So thank you
Right.
so much for what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, we just have to do better. We have
Sure.
to do better. And if you're not willing to, and you have that title and you have that authority, if you're not willing to take responsibility, then I guess my response is, then you need to step aside for someone who will,
Mm-hmm.
for someone who will do the job.
Yes, yes. Nikki, it sounds like to me that you and some of your friends need to step up and start taking some of these positions here. Where, I'm just saying.
Well, this is all, Roy, this is all common sense stuff. This is just called being a rational human being.
I'm with you, but
Right?
I think common sense sometimes flies out the window. I don't understand it, but you would think
Right.
logic and reason and common sense would be the predicate, but it's not in so many of these situations. And of course, what does it have to do with? Backdoor handshake deals, money here, money there, and you're not part of the club. It's just very
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
So,
And I would hate to think that someone is compromised. I would
sure.
hate to think that, but what does one think when you have You know, and again, it's like the same thing with my neighborhood. It's the same thing with warehouses being put next to neighborhoods like in Goshen Hills. You have public outcry to these commissioners from, you know, hundreds of people filling up a school cafeteria or wherever they held the meeting. And they just didn't want to hear it. They're worried about the one person who wants to develop.
Sure.
Now, what does that tell you? They're not concerned about their constituents.
They're concerned about the pat on the back, the quid pro quo. What am I going to get out of this deal? What are they going to get out of this deal? And it doesn't matter about anybody else, you know. That's what kind of world we're living in.
It's very obvious when you have that many citizens who are upset and who are saying, no, I don't want this, or how about a compromise? And this is why they're there. This is the reason they're there. They're supposed to come up with compromise. It's not an all or nothing situation. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing situation. But that's what we're living under in Effingham County. And I have often said with the leadership around here, I mean, what is this, a dictatorship? Because, you know, what we're looking for, people aren't unreasonable around here. What we're looking for is someone who wants to have compromise. And I mean, I think that's what everyone desires when you have a problem.
Right. I agree. Now, we can go on as long as you'd like. I know we're going a little bit over an hour. Is there anything else that we want to cover tonight that we didn't get to cover? I know we brought up you've got a convicted murder for hire, the contractor for the Rincon golf course, the Rincon councilman who is caught on film calling an officer a dirty name. There's all kinds of good stuff going on out there. But
well, anything you want to talk about, if you want to do like a speed round.
Sure.
I'm okay with that.
Go ahead and do a speed round with us and just catch us up, and I'll try to post it as you're talking.
Okay. So which one do you want to start with?
Start with the councilman.
Okay. Levi Scott. Do you have him up?
I do.
Okay. So this is under investigation. I guess what we decided on, again, our city attorney for the city of Rincon, he, I guess, is not comfortable being in charge of the investigation for the people. He said, well, I do give Levi Scott some advice and I'll be helping him. So we probably need to bring a third party in. So, okay, we're bringing in a third party to conduct some sort of investigation on Mr. Scott, and how it's more than once now, I guess, from what I'm hearing, where he has gotten in the middle of the police doing their job and basically told them to stop doing their job.
Right.
And as we all know, elected officials aren't supposed to have anything to do with giving orders directly to city employees or county employees or anything. They're supposed to go through the city manager.
Right.
So, and that's just, I mean, that's a rule everywhere. They don't deal directly with employees or make threats or anything like that. No, that's inappropriate. So right now I mean, what more do we need? We have him on film doing it. It's on the officer's camera.
Yeah.
So, I mean, should they have to be treated like that? Absolutely not.
Gotcha.
No.
Okay. Yep. I've showed that video a little bit, and I'll try to post a link here on that as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's happening with one of our leaders. So, I mean, if I was him, I would just say, yes, I did it and resign. I mean, he's been in office for a while. Maybe it's just time to leave.
Gotcha.
Time to leave on amicable terms or whatever we call that.
Understood. Now, you have a story you sent to me about citizens' outrage over criminal history, a lack of contract for Rincon Golf Course superintendent. Well, what's going on with this guy?
Ooh, that guy's interesting, too. It's like Days of Our Lives, but for Effingham County. Okay, so he was what we still don't know who was paying him. That's a new investigation as well. And all of these things have been brought up by Kevin Exley, who is our new council member.
Okay.
Or that was reported to him. I guess it was these things were reported to him, or he's questioning it. I shouldn't just say him, because he is one of the individuals who I notice is questioning these things and saying, do we need like an ethics committee, that sort of thing, where he's just kind of leading the charge. He's new and he is just asking for transparency. And I like that.
Absolutely.
I want to give him some kudos, because he seems to be the most outspoken and the most prepared when we have these meetings, and he's just calling these things out and saying, look, this happened. I saw this in the news, and I mean, my citizens want to know, what are we doing about this? And so he works for the people. He wants to know.
Okay.
So the Levi Scott situation, and then we have this man. I don't have his name. He's not with us anymore.
Okay.
He has left, but basically he was arrested and served time for a murder for hire out in Charleston. He wanted to have his brother taken out, tried to hire someone. Him and his brother had a huge inheritance, and we're not just talking like $1 million. We're talking multi-million inheritance.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, he didn't want to share it with his brother. And so it's the old money here. There's a lot of it in this area. And
I can imagine.
He got out, and then someone hired him. I don't know what his experience even was for this job. Someone hired him, and he was being paid $90,000 a year, and working with children and all sorts of things.
Right.
And he wasn't getting like a regular paycheck either. He was not being paid the way other employees are paid.
Wow. Okay.
So so that's another investigation to find out who authorized that.
Good Lord. Hey, it
and
sounds
that's
like
a good amount of money to be asking questions about too.
Oh, it is. It is. And hey, at least we've got you. It sounds like you got some people that are starting to try to get some accountability in there. That sounds good. That sounds good. Because I know last time we talked, there was a lot going on. Was it one of the city council members that was under investigation for some sort of child involvement?
That's a commissioner.
The commissioner.
Believe it or not, okay, so you want to hear my take on that?
Sure.
He is still, I don't know what's taking so long, but he is still out on bail and has to go for a trial for child molestation.
Wow. Your commissioner.
For a young girl. Yeah, for a girl. And I mean, the whole thing, I mean, okay, so imagine being a parent. I guess they've never heard of something here called administrative leave. Because he's still at these commissioner meetings.
Wow.
Like making decisions. And
right.
Okay, so here's my concern as a parent and as a woman. That to me just feels wrong and intimidating towards women and parents to have to go to a commissioner meeting and stand and talk to him knowing that he's out on bail for this.
Sure. And I mean, as in the grand scheme of things, you are innocent till proven guilty, but you said it before. Correct. I could say it, administrative leave, right? I mean, obviously we're not condemning this person for any reason. This is a situation. Right. And of course it's uncomfortable.
Right. And it's uncomfortable. And yes, innocent till proven guilty. However, because of the position that he's in, and because you have people going to speak before him, it adds to how uncomfortable it is to begin with, to go in there as a citizen, and you're on a timer, And just to have that in the back of your mind, I think a better solution would be administrative leave. So
Sure,
that's my
sure.
take on that one.
Obviously, you have a commissioner board, they could step in. Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, we have an at large, so
Mm,
let's just go for it.
wow.
That's my advice to them on that situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's certainly a lot of things going on. Nick,
And
you,
then, hey, if
yes,
he is found not guilty, well,
sure.
then he comes off administrative leave.
There
But
you
I
go.
don't understand. There's nothing that urgent that he needs to be handling.
Absolutely, absolutely. We did have a couple comments. One from a Calvin Purchase. Thank you for sticking with us. Citizen journalism. We are the news now. Good work. Absolutely, we are citizen journalism. We know we cannot trust the media any longer. We are bringing it straight to you. Ray Blankenship. She sounds like the Nick Ware of Effingham County. Yep. Hey, we have a good one up here, Nick Ware in the Catoosa County. Oh Lord, we have our own little battles going on in each county, but I'm telling you, people are getting involved and they're putting a stop to all this. So this is great, great stuff.
Yeah. And that's why we have the Effingham News and Views page,
Yes.
because we value free speech. And, sometimes we're finding that we know the news before it becomes the news. And
Hmm.
you can find a more accurate description of what happened because, there are real people on
Hmm.
Facebook and wherever, and they're giving their opinions, they're posting photos,
Hmm.
and it's happening in real time. It's just rolling out.
Right.
And so that's what we do on that page. We encourage anyone who has anything. Hey, if you want to give us a traffic report, go for it.
Hmm.
If you, you know, and if you see anything going on in your area, sometimes we do that. We have an open call and we have members that will say, well, this is what's going on in my area today.
That's
And,
correct.
that sort of thing. And so far it's working out really well.
And
Yeah.
also, I'm linked up to a bunch of these groups. The Effingham Guardian,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good
That
group.
too. Yeah.
They got a lot of great stuff, and I talk to them every now and then. So you guys got it going on there. We have some groups here in our county that are like this, but we don't have near the drama that you guys have. So
Yeah, there's the Rincon community page, there's
right.
neighborly news, lots of pages. Guyton
Hmm.
has some great pages. So the community, and we all work together
Hmm.
to get the news out.
That's good.
All
That's
our
good.
moderators, everyone works together and we share each other's stuff. So and events and things of that nature, and just to try and, especially if something is happening, just to get the
Hmm.
word out across the whole community, because we don't really have a news station out here.
Hmm.
We have about 70,000 people in Effingham County, and we are really lacking a lot. We really
Gotcha.
don't. We have, okay, so I shouldn't say that. WSAV does have a reporter, and she does come out here, but it's not anything like what Savannah has,
Sure. Sure.
and they have all the news stations.
Okay.
So, yeah, yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate you so much spending your Sunday evening with us. Hopefully, we the all of this will go out to groups, and we'll continue to just network and get more people involved, so that we can bounce things back off, and we can be more of a citizen army to keep an eye on things that are going down. Maybe perhaps by sharing all this information and bringing it to light, we can make these people aware that they have to hold the accountability to the people first, because
Yeah,
we're not
yeah,
living in the same fantasy land that we were living in 20 years ago. We are watching everything going on, and we need good, honest people that will take care of their people, as opposed to take care of this corporate industrial takeover. That's
yeah.
my goal. So
Yeah, it's all about building a community, and I think that's what we're trying to work towards.
sure.
And also, it's like a ripple effect, because then you have this issue with this DRT toxin leak, and then it brought me to the next question of, well, what's our evacuation plan?
There
Our
you go.
Highway 21 has so much traffic, you can't be serious if you think, and that's what the evacuation plan is.
Hmm.
What Our traffic is so bad, we'll move faster walking if
Right.
we have a hazmat situation or a train derailment, which we did have have like about a month ago.
There you go. There
It
you
wasn't
go.
a derailment. It was 24 cars that came undone.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's always something exciting here.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. Anything
Yeah.
else before we go?
No, I think that's enough for tonight.
All right, it sounds good. And hey, let's do this every 3 months. Let's just keep in touch with you guys and see what kind of progress is being made, and see what we can do to help and bring more people to your awareness. Okay?
Yes, yes. And thank you so much for what you are doing.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, anytime, Nikki. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.
Folks, that was Nikki Lee, and she is a great activist down there. If as thank you for hanging out with me. I'm telling you, it gives me cold chills to know that people are standing up against this just systematic steamroll that we have going on here, and putting a stop to some of these things. And we sometimes we think we got it bad, and you just heard right there. They're dealing with toxic chemical spills. They're dealing with fires and explosion. They're dealing with, the people that are supposed to represent them are under certain indictments and being arrested, and it paints a whole different picture of the way that we sometimes see it when we get lost in our bubble. I'm going to finish with the comments. Calvin, thank you for hanging out. Ray, thanks for being an activist that helps with our communities. Yes, Ray, she is, and it's always a pleasure to speak with her. Folks, this is by far about an hour and a half. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that you will share this episode, and maybe you can listen to it one day next week and just get a glimpse of what's happening all over your state. I look forward to linking up with more people in different areas so that we can bring different things to light and just share things with each other. So that's what it's all about. And I'm going to jump off here, and you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you Wednesday night.